You look at the nation, joining the president to actually mourn the late speaker. It is quite sad, and right now we're all getting the reality of it. And henceforth the black to really signify a sad day, and a dark cloud is still hovering over Uganda. And we believe by the end of today, at least a lot of Ugandans would have had a feel of what is going on in Kololo, and obviously UBC will be bringing you all the live coverage from Kololo, and we will take it from there to also lead you to where the body will be taken thereafter for, of course, the final send-off that is in his home district.
Molen, one of the things that I've seen following the death of the Speaker of Parliament, Jacob Oulanyah, is how the East African community has worked together. What do I mean? We've seen delegations from Kenya, delegations from Tanzania. Yesterday we saw from Burundi. They're flowing in, coming in, you know, to stand with us at such a trying moment. And I was listening to most of their speeches, like the delegation from Burundi. He said, "We have lost, you have lost." I was like, oh, yeah.
Yeah,
this is the spirit of Africa.
He has been a man, you know, pushing for the East African agenda and to have everyone on board. And I know that most of them have actually had to interact with him even when he was still alive. So that goes to show you how much of a people's person Jacob Oulanyah has been. And you also look into the fact that, you know, across East Africa, even the heads of states have been sending in their condolences, even through social media. But also we did see that at the time when they were bringing in DRC, everyone was really sending in their condolences, you know, to Ugandans and to the president of Uganda, to make sure that, you know, we realize this as the East African community. And I think that takes away, you know, the whole mile of how much East Africa is coming together, even in trying times.
Very important there. And of course we see yesterday a number of members of parliament eulogized, spoke good about the foreign speaker of parliament from the time he was a deputy speaker, the good works he did. And one thing that came to my mind, Molen, is we all live and we shall die. But what impact, what legacy? A wise man said Jesus Christ did not live for long. But till today, people are confessing, people are accepting Christ, people are living a Christ-like life. Jacob Oulanyah, neither. He still had so much to do, but the legacy he left behind is living on, and it will. I was looking when I was at the Muyenga home, over 120 students from Seroma High School. He's been looking after them, paying their school fees, even whatever they need in school, and I'm like, well, this is rare. There is a young man, I forgot his name, he works at Parliament. Very short like this, but he's trending on social media, talking about who Jacob Oulanyah is. You know, he talks about where he picked him, how they began the friendship. He talks about how he was fueling his car, how he helped him purchase a car. There is so much good that is being talked about Jacob Oulanyah.
He really lived an impactful life, and to even say that he has been continuing you know, to look after, you know, such groups of people with students. Actually, it was also interesting, that story, that he did mentor that young man, and their first encounter was like, he thought he was a child, and it's like, what is this child doing? And the man is like, you know what, no, I'm offended, I'm a man. He was a man with humor, for sure, and that's a lot that was also included in his impactful life. He has lived to live that legacy, and, you know, but also later on we'll be taking you through the program that we'll be running across Kololo today on how events will be turning up. We do know that the Honorable Minister Midi Babalanda will be the master of ceremonies, and we'll be taking you through much more of those updates. Not
forgetting that also we'll have that live coverage of what will be transpiring at Kololo, giving you events as they unfold. But now let's first look at some of the stories that made it to our news desk, and we feel they're really important to have a recap of them, beginning with the body of the foreign speaker, Jacob Oulanyah, arriving at Parliament, and the various members of Parliament eulogizing the late. The late Oulanyah's body arrived at Parliament at exactly 9:30. Members of Parliament mounted a guard of honor carrying national color balloons donned in bow ties, a signature fashion style of the fallen speaker. The body was escorted to Parliament by Acholi Bola dancers and received by the Speaker Anita Amongi, Deputy Speaker Thomas Tayebwa, the Vice President Jessica Alupo, and the Prime Minister Robina Nabanja. It was a somber mood at Parliament building as the body of former Speaker Jacob Oulanyah arrived to Parliament for MPs to pay their last respect. Members of the public lined outside Parliamentary Avenue, Kimathi Avenue, to take a glimpse at the casket containing the body of the late Speaker Jacob Oulanyah. Actually, Bola dancers who do the traditional dance performed it to their best, and the police brass band was also there to escort and wheel the body into Parliament amidst a guard of honor from members of Parliament who were very smart in bow ties, a signature tune of the late Jacob Oulanyah. A number of them talked about the late as a determined man and a man of courage and confidence and straightforward. And now we move to the refugee crisis, where local authorities and the United Nations Refugee Agency have relocated thousands of Congolese refugees seeking asylum in Uganda to Nyakabande Transit Camp in Nyakabande Sub-County, Kisoro District. The refugees are fleeing their homes following ongoing confrontational fighting between the Congolese National Army and the M23 rebels in Eastern Congo. The Nyakabande Transit Camp commands Kisomo Daniel said that the new refugee entering Uganda can no longer be accommodated in schools and health centers where they had forcefully pitched camp on the first day of the insurgency. The commandant said humanitarian agencies have come in handy to provide emergency relief aid, despite of the aid being not sufficient enough compared to the numbers that are coming in. He also said that there should be something dealt with in terms of stabilizing the region, saying the huge numbers are not sustainable given the aid that is coming in. Information obtained from refugees indicate that fighting inside Congo is ongoing between the M23 rebels and the government forces. Moving on, cyber security curriculum in education sector if the country is to minimize cyber attack in telecommunications. The Executive Director, Uganda Communications Commission, Irene Sewankambo, advised different CEOs in telecommunications that they should look more at cyber security as they carry on investment. Of late, cybersecurity crimes are on an increase and different people's information has been hacked, while other Ugandans have lost lots of money to fraudsters. Such crimes are not reported, yet different companies recruit manpower to insist and stop the loss of such crimes from being committed. It is now that they are asking government to ensure how best they can include, that is, cyber security lessons on the curriculum. And finally, from the local scene, the 3 prosecution witnesses to testify in the case where 15 suspects are allegedly accused of killing and robbing police officers in different parts of the country, pinned and accused Jisto Issa alias Commando Muto to be the master planner in the killings. The witnesses include Detective Brian Ocheng, Edward Chironde, a border rider, and Sergeant Fabian Chirithutha, who are charged to Busunju police station in Mitiana. The 16 suspects allegedly in the killing and robbing of police officers were once again paraded at the General Court Martial in Machinje to proceed with the hearing of the case. The case is before the chairman of the General Court Martial, Lieutenant General Andrew Guti. Prosecution witnesses 4 was Brian Ocheng, a detective and constable attached to Busunju, and also Kanyula Sulaiman, who asked to help him to ensure that he's safe enough.
Well, now crossing over to the international scene, Zelensky says security will be top priority in post-war Ukraine. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says the main issue for Ukraine after Russia's invasion ends will be security. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has said he wants his country to become a big Israel with its own face after the Russian invasion ends, stressing that security would be likely to be the main issue in Ukraine during the post-war period. In comments to local media posted on the president's official website on Tuesday, Zelensky stressed that his vision for Ukraine's post-conflict future included having armed forces in all institutions, supermarkets, cinemas. There will be people with weapons everywhere. In Israel, images of armed civilians, settlers, and soldiers are commonplace, and the government invokes security frequently. In another story, the U.S. defense officials defend Ukraine's response, one of protracted conflict. U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin has defended Washington's response to the war in Ukraine during a heated exchange with a Republican legislator who accused the Pentagon of overestimating Russia's military capability. Has it occurred to you that Russia has not overrun Ukraine because of what we've done and our allies have done? Have you even thought about that? Austin asked in a rhetorical way to the Representative Matt Gaetz during testimony to the House Armed Service Committee. Austin and other U.S. officials say U.S. support to Ukraine forces, along with Ukraine's strong need to fight, has thwarted Russia's plans to the swift victory in a campaign now in its 60th week. Now back here to Africa, Nigerian atheist jailed for blasphemy over Facebook posts. Mubarak Bala, a former Muslim, has been accused of attempting to cause a breach of public peace. A Nigerian court has sentenced an atheist for 24 years in prison for making social media posts it found to be blasphemous against Islam in the West African nation northern region. Now, Mubarak Bala, a former Muslim, was sentenced on Tuesday after pleading guilty to charges of blasphemy after a lengthy trial during which he spent nearly 2 years in prison. Bala is the president of the Humanist Association of Nigeria and activist, and has said his conviction illustrates the risks of being openly faithless in northern Nigeria, which is predominantly Muslim. Now, prosecutors in the northern Kano state accused Bala of making Facebook posts that insulted the Prophet Muhammad and the religion of Islam and attempted to cause a breach of the public peace, according to court documents. In a weather and climate news, political and economic madness to invest in fossil fuels warns UN as Landmark Reports asks us to change lifestyle. Now, the summary, referred to as the Litany of Broken Promises by the UN, warns current fossil fuel plans put the world on the course for a 2-degree warming, but carbon capture and lifestyle changes can help. It is moral and economic madness to fund new fossil fuel projects, the UN chief said yesterday, as pioneering a report warned simply cutting down emissions was no longer enough to curb the climate crisis. The need to scale up the measures to remove carbon dioxide from the air are now unavoidable in order to meet net zero goals, and the UN's Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change said in a landmark document. The UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres calls the climate report a litany of broken promises, cataloging the empty pledges that put us firmly on track towards unlivable world.
Well, man who believes in no faith, you know.
Yes.
So why do you attack other faith if you don't believe in Prophet Muhammad?
Yeah.
You know, if you don't believe in any religion, have you, is it association of
atheists?
What? Atheists, you know, but don't tamper with that. Leave people understand religion, understand the faith. Sometimes even I see these street preachers, sometimes, a few of them, don't have to attack a rosary, attack this. Bring your message. If you feel a person is persuaded, let them follow you, but do not attack, do not undermine.
Now the problem with atheists is they actually don't believe in anything. They don't believe in the prophet, they don't believe in Jesus, they just don't believe in God. Now for them they will say anything, and they hide in the fact that they have freedom of speech. Which at this point, your speech is attacking a lot of people. And this time, I think he was targeting the Islamic religion, and they took it to court. And justice has been saved. So this is actually a takeaway from this story, is that you don't have freedom of speech if you have to, talk about people's religion and attack a god. So I think there are a lot of atheists out there who should take this as an example of what is to come if you keep making such comments.
Well, here I come to you with these 2 special drinks that I have advised you to take at least once every day. Now I'm advocating for continuous consumption, because this is where you get the right value for this, because they boost your immune system. So at just 1,500, go for a Ruya Jinga tea or your tamarind drink, any supermarket, any shop. You can get any of these, and they'll boost your immune system. We need you alive to be able to find and to be able to fight off a number of diseases, because you've empowered your white blood cells. Well, when we return, Molen will also be giving us more of the program that is what is going to be happening at Kololo Ceremonial Grounds. But let's first go for a break.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is
Today, the body of the fallen speaker will be moved to Koro ceremonial grounds for national mourning. However, yesterday it was a beehive of activities at Parliament as the body was brought to Parliament right from his home in Muyenga. Here we had the Prime Minister, the Speaker and Deputy Speaker pay their respect and of course eulogize the foreign speaker. But also various members of Parliament had a lot to say about the man many believed was one who stood for the truth, a man many believed was an exemplary leader. And of course a number of issues came out. Many advocated for better health services, others talked about timekeeping. So they were looking at the qualities of the foreign speaker and of course calling upon one another to ensure that they emulate the good things they've learned about the speaker. Molen, when we look at a number of speakers that were speaking one after the other, members of Parliament, regarding the life of Jacob Oulanyah, what really caught your attention?
Well, I did take away one thing that you know, they all emphasized, and that was the fact that he was a good timekeeper. And that is something that is going to have to challenge all members of Parliament to live up to that, because he took nothing less. Even when he had to be anywhere, he will be there first, and for you will join him, because he believed in timekeeping, and that is something that he has left in for them to actually move on. But also they did talk about his integrity. He has been a man of integrity. If he says to do something, he will want to do it right. And also obviously the emphasis that most of the honorable members of Parliament were talking about also should be going to health, because this is something that the late speaker was passionate about, and he wanted to see a better health system in Uganda. That is too much that the Parliament has to look into. Make sure that while we mourn and while we keep up his legacy, we have to focus on the things that he was passionate about, and the health sector being one of them. But we do have a program that has come through on the proceedings about today, that is the Kolo ceremonial grounds, where it is a designated place of worship as well. That is towards the send-off of the late speaker, where the President of Uganda, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, will be leading the nation into mourning and also the prayer for today. Now the program will be running from 8 a.m. up to 2:30 p.m. And the Director of Ceremonies will be Honorable Millie Babidie Babalanda, who is the Minister in charge of the Presidency. Assistant Directors of Ceremonies will be Miss Alice Muwanguzi and Lieutenant Colonel Ronald Kakunguru, who is from the Uganda People's Defense Forces. But at 8:20 a.m., mourners will be taking their seats, and thereafter at 8:30 a.m. we have VIPs begin to arrive. Of course, that is where we'll have the foreign dignitaries and also other VIPs. But at 8:40 a.m., the resident city commissioner of Kampala will also be in Kololo and also welcoming the guests. 8:45 a.m. we have the casket to be received at Koro ceremonial grounds. Now UBC will be covering more of those events towards the time when the casket actually arrives in Koro ceremonial grounds. Now at 9 a.m. we'll have the Commissioner General of Prisons, that is the Inspector General of Police as well, will be in Koro ceremonial grounds. Then we'll also have the Chief of Defense Forces, the Presidential Advisors and Assistants, the Permanent Secretaries, the Heads of Public Service and Secretary to Cabinet, the Chairpersons of Constitutional and Statutory Commissions, Inspector General of Government, religious leaders, those will be arriving, that is between the 9 a.m. hour to 9:10 a.m. Now thereafter, 9:10 to 9:20 a.m. we'll have the members of parliament, heads of diplomatic missions, judges of the High Court, justices of Court of Appeal, justices of Supreme Court, and the principal judge. That is from 9:10 to 9:20. Now from 9:20 a.m. to 9:40 we'll have the honorable ministers of state, honorable ministers, leader of opposition in parliament, the secretary general NRM, the third deputy prime minister, second deputy prime minister, first deputy prime minister, and former national leaders will also be at Koro Emmanuel grounds. Now we do have much more of that, but also on the arrival of the president, who is His Excellency General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, is expected to arrive by 11 a.m. Now there is a lot between there, and we look into mostly the support that we talked about of the East African community. We already have news that most of those have already arrived in the country, and most of those will be coming through to also join us in mourning the late speaker. Obviously this is something big.
A number of them did not only stop at Parliament, they also went to the NRM Secretariat. There is a book there to stand with NRM as a political party, because much as Jacob Oulanyah has been the Speaker of Parliament, equally he has been the Vice Chairperson of NRM, that is Northern Region. So the party equally has lost a very important person. More so when it comes to canvassing for votes. You must recall that in the just concluded elections, I don't want to say entirely depend on Jacob Oulanyah, but we saw NRM perform great in this region where it wasn't a darling so much there, and many are attributing it to the character, to the efforts and work of Jacob Oulanyah. So equally the party has lost. That's why we see that some on the side of Parliament, but also go to the party to stand with them. That really you've lost. I look at the program yesterday, was able to look at some of the preparations. First, it is strict on invitation. The Korolo function is not like what has been happening in Muyenga or at Parliament. This is strictly on invitation, given the various VIPs that are going to be there. Second, when you reach Korolo, every category of people that has been invited, their tent has been clearly marked. Their sitting position, their tags indicating this is SEC, this is ministers, these are foreign dignitaries. Everything has been organized very well. We just hope that time is kept, because a man like this, of his character in terms of keeping time, it would be a shame.
Yes, yes, it will be a shame if they actually don't keep time. If they're trying to remember him in that
Remember,
regard.
the body has to be front to Omoro, the Logi village, today, because it has to spend a night there for culture, the public. His father said people can come. Then the following day, other activities have to commence. So it is not only ending here, it has to reach Omoro today, this very day. I hope they keep time.
Now, having a Speaker of Parliament is a pivotal. This is a pivotal seat in the country, and obviously it talks to how much the country has been in terms of mourning him.
One would say he happens to be third in the ranking of government, of any government. The Speaker takes the third position there, so it's really a very big loss to Uganda in terms of how government run. But the good thing still is that we are not empty. Our constitution cleared that before his burial there is a speaker that has been elected, and this is a person who was already the deputy speaker there. But for me, one of the things that I'm now happy is that what seemed hurdles here and there and a bit of tainting our image, I think all have been dealt with, because now we see funds are there, things are moving on smoothly. We just hope, and we are eager actually to hear messages from various people, including His Excellency. People are waiting as he's eulogizing the late Jacob Oulanyah and what he has to say today.
Well, in a wake of losing someone that huge in a country, obviously there is always a lot of controversy. You know, when people are mourning, their minds somehow, people say the wrong things, say the wrong, kind of lines. So we've seen controversy with even in Parliament or other political players on how things are being handled. And I think it speaks a lot to the fact that we are all mourning, and people have taken different directions to divert you know, the nation from the truth, or also, you know, twist the truth. What has been your takeaway from this kind of controversy around the death of Jacob Oulanyah?
I want to look at it in two ways. One, Africa, most when we went in multi-party dispensation, the politicians I call ill-mannered, shrewd, that will take upon any opportunity to have a garner political mileage. Any opportunity. I want to tell you, there are politicians in this country that I know that can jump on anything as long as they know it gives them credit. He could have passed through that particular area every day, but that day he finds people demonstrating. He will even sit in the ground, because he knows cameras are going to get him, you know. He's going to be told, Honorable, say something, you know, then they became. So we have those kind of politicians, that for them, they have lost the wumpu in them. It's now about politics. What do I gain from Oulanyah's death? My people must see me. And they know that truth is not what is going to save them. Then the other side, I want to look at the humanness that, you know, Molen, when we lose people, sometimes it is only human that emotions overrun us. You know? Yes. Emotions. When you lose someone you love so much, that is why in some cultures they even have a saying to mtafa ikaute yefirira, that out of these emotions you would see a person very passionate, a person you've always known, they are very organized, they are careful, they mind what they say, but at the time of grieving, a time of mourning, they may lose themselves and forget even the power of the tongue at such moments. So I look at it two ways: the politicians who are always there to take advantage and exploit any situation for their political mileage and gains, then those that are torn by emotions, that they may after regret what they have said. We saw one who went to apologize.
Yes, yes.
You know? But at that time, because of emotions, I don't want to believe that, you know, his stature, he's a land person, but emotions of pain, of grief can override you at such a time.
Well, it has been emotional for everyone, and clearly it is something that has been going around even throughout everyone in Uganda, because now there is information that goes around and there is nothing you can do about it but be emotional. But I think it also takes a lot of dignity and a lot of self, know-how for you to be able to apologize to something like this. And I think you did mention a good point of political players wanting to play it to their attention, which is wrong in this country at this time, to see that such a pivotal person in the country, you're using his death to actually run it towards your direction. And I think this has been something that is challenging to Ugandan politics. But also you look at most of the politicians that have come up to actually support. The Acholi community has been very supportive when it comes to the journey they have taken throughout this period that we do await. Yeah, they have been really supportive, and for every negativity that has come across, even towards them as members of parliament from Acholi sub-region, they have come out to say, no, this is not right, this is right. And I have to commend them for having done that. Even when it is, their person, but they have also tried a lot to shine through that Oulanyah was a people's person and he worked for everyone in Uganda. He was not, someone who said, okay, I'm going to work for this particular part of the country or this part. He was going for every Ugandan, and that is my takeaway.
And this time I want to also commend members of parliament and our politicians, most of the opposition. Yesterday I was keen. UBC was giving us that live broadcast. And I want to thank our management for whoever bothered to watch. Because I was listening to every member of parliament speak. And I was very critical when it comes to those in the opposition. Because first, as Africans, when we lose a person, there are things we don't say. There is a way we expect to handle, but I want to commend them. Speaker by speaker. Yes, Semujunganda, that is Kira municipality member of parliament, had a bit of pointing to some areas, but even you would see that even when he was speaking, there is a way he was packaging his words to drive a point home. Yes, there is one from the Choli parliamentary group who almost lost it on the cause of death and all this. But by and large, when you hear statements coming in from the various political opposition parties, you hear that we've this time tried to show unity and solidarity at the death of Jacob Oulanyah. We've not had scandalous statements. We've not had reckless speech that can cause mayhem. I want to commend them for that unification and proper packaging of messages. Because at such a time, every Ugandan, I appeal to you, what you speak matters a lot. The tongue has a lot of power. So if you misuse it, most at a time of sorrow and grief, you may not think properly the impact of your communication, but then it could be very harmful.
Well, we have seen a lot of people coming to support, and obviously not just the members of parliament, but the general public, the security officers, and from what we also got from police, the PRO of the Uganda police, that is Afande Farida Nampima, did give out, you know, an update. Yeah,
PRO traffic.
Yes, she did give out an update on today's state funeral service at Kololo. And she does say that we inform the public that the Upper Kololo, Elgon Terrace, Lower Kololo and Wampeo Avenue will be cut off for the period of the funeral service, the funeral service will be running. Now, normal flow will resume after the chief mourner leaves. So that means that today there is going to be, you know, those places mentioned above, the ones cut off. However, she also went ahead to say that there will be police on the ground to direct road users accordingly. But we'll be reading out much more of those traffic updates given out by police in a traffic segment later on. But also what we do still have, according to the program, now that will be running right after, you know, the members of parliament have arrived and the former national leaders, that is from 9:40 a.m. up to 10 a.m. we do have the Right Honorable Prime Minister in Koro ceremonial grounds, His Lordship the Deputy Chief Justice. We do expect Right Honorable Deputy Speaker of Parliament. We do expect the first Vice Chairman NRM and their Royal Highnesses of the traditional leaders. And thereafter, 10 a.m. to 10 a.m., we do expect His Lordship, the Chief Justice, to be at Koro ceremonial grounds. The Right Honourable Speaker of Parliament will also be coming in, that is 10 a.m. Now thereafter, we'll also be having up to, from that period between 10 a.m. to 10:50 a.m., we do expect the arrival of His Excellency, the Vice President of Uganda, Jessica Alupo. We also do expect that will have the arrival of His Excellency, His General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, the President of the Republic of Uganda, and Commander-in-Chief, Uganda People's Defence Forces, and the First Lady, Mama Janet Kataha Museveni, where we also, during the same hour, we do expect to start off with the national anthem, the East African anthem, and His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni will be proceeding to his seat. Now the order of service thereafter will be beginning at 11:20 a.m. where we'll have His Grace Kazimba Mugalu, the Archbishop of Church of Uganda, who will be leading service. And other religious leaders also expected will be His Grace Paul Semogere, the Archbishop of Kampala Archdiocese, and His Eminence Sheikh Shaban Mubaje, the Mufti of Uganda. Now that will be proceeded, of course, with the service program that will be given out by the main celebrant, His Grace Kazimba Mugalu. But also, Robert, as we look at the way things are going to be moving today, it has also been an important theme for us to bring in national prayers as we send off Jacob Oulanyah, not just to wait for the day of his burial, because we have seen services going on even right when the body was taken to his home in Munyonyo. We have been conducting service, and I do believe that we have had a good way to actually have our prayers gotten through to you know, send him off.
When we were in Muyenga, his home, I think it was called Joel Obatia, I think he's the retired Archbishop of Madi Diocese. One of the things he talked about, he said, death is for all of us, but we have to be prepared. He said, we are here praying for Jacob, the family, but what is important is The prayers we do can do much, but not so much if you didn't live the life that is worth you meeting your Creator, a prepared person. Today, this is a national function because the Constitution stipulates when the Speaker dies, what is supposed to be done. And this is the ceremony that is supposed to be done. A state funeral or a state burial, all these are part of the proceedings that will lead to a final burial of this foreign speaker of parliament. So to me, I'm seeing almost every arm of government, they're going to be in Kololo. Dignitaries, they're going to be in Kololo. And me, my most moment I'm waiting for is those that are on the program and they're going to speak. What are they going to tell Ugandans? You know? Away from speaking about the life of Jacob Oulanyah, what are they going to speak about our health system? Because many members of parliament talked about this issue of one time we had plans of this specialized hospital, we have the new Molago. How do we ensure that we equip our health services? That is not automatic that every dignitary has to be flown out of the country. I'll give you an example of the former Governor Bank of Uganda. There is a time we were in lockdown, you know, and had to undergo some serious operation. Because we couldn't have flights or what, it was done here in Uganda. And I'm told it was successful. So what are we lacking? Yes, Oulanyah has lived a life, he has gone. But what does this speak to the powers be? What lessons are we learning away from timekeeping, away from having a man who is honest, who can, at the same grounds where they are taking his body today, are the very grounds that he stood during the anti-corruption work when he said, Your Excellency, all of us here are corrupt. We could be doing this for formality, but unless we go back home and have a change in our minds, in our hearts, all of us are corrupt, we shall go back and do the very things we were doing. Those are lessons we can learn. But for the benefit of the country, what does this speak to our health system? What does this speak to unity in northern Uganda? To the security. Me, I want to hear messages talking about a bigger vision, a bigger vision for Uganda after Jacob Oulanyah.
Well, also there has been a lot going on, and absolutely we do need to see that members of parliament are actually following through with the legacy that Honorable Jacob Oulanyah has left behind, and not just within the health sector, but also a lot of government systems that he has tried a lot to move forward. But also, Robert, as we conclude this, what are your expectations, especially during the days that we will be going through? But we'll be going much into that later on. But right now, we also want to take you through what is making headlines in print media, and that is looking through the newspapers for today, where we'll be taking you through the Daily Monitor, the New Vision, and of course the Daily Nation, to look at what you can expect throughout today and what is happening in the papers. Robert, as we move into the papers, I think there is a lot to uncover for today, and you look at the fact that we still have a period right as the body is moved towards his home district. There is a lot, and emotions are involved. Ugandans are mourning, but also the people in his village have been waiting a lot to see that they get his body and they are able to also mourn him. That is their son, and I think there is a lot of tension in the village and the home district to make sure that they are able to send off their son. And it has been a long time waiting, but finally we do have at least the national service going on for today, and thereafter we do expect the body of the late Jacob Oulanyah to be taken back to their home place, where we will be also mourning at that level and looking into the family and of course the general public joining them.
It has been a long wait. It has really been a long wait. We just hope that time will be maintained so that the body arrives in time, and of course many that have to travel from far and beyond be able to at least pay their last respect. While looking at the New Vision this morning, government releases a cause of Oulanyah's death. Kadaga informed president about Oulanyah's absence from the House. They give you more of that. Then UNEB clarifies on national IDs for candidates. Still, the New Vision this morning brings you government possesses tax exemption for Bujagali for another 5 years and giving back. Okay, this is about some promotion there by the paper. Then hand over criminals. UPDF urges Turkana Karamajong leaders. Hand them over. Education, there is physics, biology, and Kiswahili. And don't miss tomorrow, we shall be having chemistry, English, language, and literature. Still looking at the New Vision this morning, where they give you how we are doing in terms of COVID-19 new confirmed cases, stand at 13, positivity rate 0.4, total accumulative cases are given also there, death none. And of course, the recovery is there. Also, the New Vision this morning takes you back in time, where it was today when homecoming, that is the 51 Ugandans among the children abducted by Joseph Kony rebel in northern Uganda returned home. And Space Shuttle Challenger launched today. It was on this very date, but the year 1984 when the Space Shuttle Challenger was launched. Yes, what do you have in the Daily Monitor before I move to sports?
Now, looking into the Daily Monitor for today, we do start off with a story on Karamajong warriors raid Kapelebong Katakwi. Now, another raid again across that area by the Karamajong warriors. That full story is on page 10 of the Daily Monitor for today. They also show you a few pictures of the residents over there. But the big headline in the Daily Monitor for today shows what killed Olanya. Still a big question, but the post-mortem report is out, and Honorable Dr. Ruth Acheng, of course, has said a lot on that. That is, those stories are on page 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 of the Daily Monitor for today. Get yourself a copy and get into answers to this question. But also the big picture right there, as the police and members of parliament, we do have Right Honorable Speaker right there, and the Vice President Jessica Alupo, the Deputy Speaker is also there, as the body of the late former Speaker Jacob Olanya is received at Parliament, and that is also right there. More of the stories still across the Daily Monitor for today. Now, in other news, City Tycoon Rasa held over gold deal fraud. Now, that is an interesting one, and that is at page 5 of the Daily Monitor for today. But also on page 9, UNEB lists requirements for a final examination. And that has also been put across right there in the Daily Monitor.
And I'm happy they have reacted on time, because there were rumors that the children, the candidates, must have their parents' national IDs. And this was causing mayhem, but they have come out to clarify that for 2020 is not a requirement.
Well, in other news, government speaks out that Kenya fuel crisis won't affect Uganda. Now, there is much right there. But also across homes, how safe is having power lines over your property? Now, there's a big question right there. But the experts have said something about it, and much more of that story from page 18 to 23 of the Daily Monitor for today. Now, there is also some kind of humor from the lizard. Not a sour loser, I hope. Komi Priest misses Bishop Job and resigns. That's interesting. But also on the page 2 of the Daily Monitor for today, also still about the former Speaker Olanya's final journey to Parliament, and that is right over there.
Well, allow me to take you through the sports page of the New Vision this morning. Is KCCA still in the run? A big question there the New Vision Sports has for you. Then gymnastic body lobbies for facility. That is looking at the New Vision Sports. And Super B Nakai. Well, there's so much about special talent that is being written about, and of course Halima Nakai is the person there that has made it to that column. And we are ready. Well, this is more of motocross this time around, and KCCA whips UPDF team. Of course, they are giving you UCU stats with, that is Gesto, and more regarding international and local sports. The New Vision has brought that for you.
Well, and in the Daily Monitor Sports for this morning, we have the National Cricket League. Lions find roar. The opening batsman, Falak Shell, took the credits as Kayon Lions won the Cat Family Contest against Kutsi Tigers with a match-winning knock of 82 runs. Well, that's interesting for the National Cricket League there. But also there is a big picture right there, and they are tagging it David versus Goliath. Hosts Namibia are ranked 16th in the world with touring Uganda, but also they have been blessed with the 25th. But Coach Mahtale is positive that the Cranes will show their potential, even if they are, you know, I think in the Goliath category. But that is interesting, but also more about the Women League as well. Well, I don't know about what the sports for Uganda actually look through. But anyway, we'll be getting into the break for now, but later we'll be taking you through what is happening in terms of traffic, what is happening in terms of weather, but also the agenda will be here, and we'll be taking you through much more of the events. Like we mentioned, UBC will be getting you live coverage of what is happening in Kololo and all that you can expect here. Don't go away. We'll take a short break and we'll be back.
Connected today with the My Airtel 4G smartphone and enjoy free data for 1 whole year worth 86,500 Uganda shillings. That's free 2 GB for the first month and free 1 GB for the next 11 months at only Uganda shillings with free data for 1 whole year worth 86,500 shillings, making the effective price of the 4G phone 163,500 shillings only. Airtel, the smartphone network.
When you talk about our motherland Uganda, the pearl of Africa, you cannot fail to smile because of the smile that fills the faces of the citizens. Our nice good weather and nature that sustains us all, that enables us all to continue each in their own way because we are all different even according to each individual's work. But what joins us to become one person is the sweetness from the flavored drink Alleluia Jingati drink and Alleluia Tamarind drink. The flavor that quenches your thirst while at the same time treating and healing your body because it is 100% natural. Enjoy the drink that has got the tamarind juice in it. Made by Alleluia Reflexology, Healthy Solutions and Nutritional Research Center Limited. Get yourself a bottle of Alleluia from all shops around.
When COVID came, it felt like it destroyed everything my mom had built. She was ready to let go of her dreams. But when one door shuts, a window opens. She grabbed her last command and took a leap of faith. She refused to give up. So with a bit of daring and Grandma's secret recipe, her business was back. And not just bigger, beyond her wildest imagination.
This is a story of a regular Ugandan just like you, who harnessed the power of technology to provide a solution for us. How about you tell us your story? UG needs more of you. To share your story, visit airtel.co.ug/UG needs more of you or call or SMS 162. Airtel, the smartphone network.
It's no secret that ICT makes learning easy.
The strides made in our field could not be possible without it.
And now we can watch our favorite shows.
My radio is my best friend.
UCC provides an enabling regulatory environment and policy guidance for healthy competition. We also facilitate ease of doing business in the communications sector through licensing, standardization, spectrum management, tariff regulation, rural communication development, and consumer empowerment. An informed consumer is an empowered consumer. UCC supports local content and innovations. Driving the development of a robust communication sector in Uganda is Uganda Communications Commission.
From that short break, well, we will be taking you through much of what is happening in Kololo, and that you can expect right here. But for now, we want to take you through some of the traffic updates that are coming across, also from the police traffic department, where the PRO, Afande Farida Nampima, has given out the program on what police has given out for what is happening today. And according to the traffic police, the Upper Kololo, Elgon Terrace, Lower Kololo, and Wampeo Avenue will be cut off for the period of the funeral service that will be running. Normal flow will resume after the chief mourner leaves. Now, she also mentions that residents in and around Kololo are advised to use alternative routes to join Ginger Road, or Kira Road, or Acacia Avenue to come to the city. John Babiha Road will remain open. Now, VIPs will use the Elgon Terrace and enter the ground through the eastern gate and park at Heroes Corner. Now, other mourners coming from Ginger Road, Nakawa side, are advised to use the Lugogo bypass and join the Upper Kololo, but also Impala Avenue, and that is also allowed for the VIPs, and that is across to City High School. Those coming from Ginger Road, Kampala City sides are advised to use the Wampeo Avenue and park at Africano. But also, she gives out the proceedings to Ginger Road. Police will be joining at Impala Avenue, and the vehicles will be right there. Traffic officers will be on the ground to guide all road users accordingly, and she does ask the public to abide by what the traffic officers will be telling you to do to avoid confrontations and time wastage across the road. But also looking into the traffic situation right today across most of the roads, it looks quite open, especially for the areas that have been cut off, but still you do expect a lot of traffic, as now there has been a lot of diversion across most of the roads that have been cut off, and that is to be expected, especially as we talk about most of those roads being inaccessible for the public for today. But also looking into the weather situation for today, we did have mostly starting off with clear skies across much of Uganda. If you look through what is coming in over Umitsat, it does show us that we do have a clear sunny sky across northern Uganda. Eastern Uganda continues to be dry. We still have dry weather over there, and that is also expected to have mostly sunny conditions for this morning. Looking into midwestern Uganda, there's a little bit of cloudy weather, but also that's not to be exciting because we don't have rains coming through for this morning. Much of that is towards western side of Uganda, but also moving through to Congo, so that system won't be bringing us any rains for this morning. But we do expect a little bit of rainy situations across southwestern Uganda. Now, that will also be in form of light showers, but that is expected across the Kabale Highlands and southwestern Uganda. Now, it looks like the Lake Victoria Basin as well this morning starts off with mostly sunny weather. Even here in Kampala, we're having mostly sunny conditions. Now, we do have expectations for a little bit of intervals of cloudy conditions, but also those won't be bringing in any rains for now. But we do expect afternoon to pick up in terms of wet weather activities, especially in the afternoon. We might be looking at a little bit of those isolated showers across the southern sector. And also that speaks to the fact that we might be warming up as we look into clear skies skies for this morning, then we can expect that temperatures will be a bit high. Now lately we have been having some kind of heat wave. It has been hot at night and during day, and most of that has been attributed to, you know, the pressure systems in northern Africa that are pushing in towards the country, bringing in that kind of heat wave. And I think everyone has been feeling that, and that brings in a question of where are our rains now. When you have such pressure systems interrupting, there's no way you're going to have the rains move through across in a period that expected. Now, much is to be said about the fact that we've had climate variations, climate change in question, and this is something that Robert constantly says maybe it's a given. Let's go ahead doing bad because it's far away from us. And I will tell you it's not far away from us if we're seeing our seasons being interrupted like this, having a heat wave in a time of the year that you're not supposed to be having this kind of a heat wave. I don't know, Robert, as you take this away, I think you might need to revisit that whole conversation of us going into fossil fuels for sure.
Well, Molen, there is what we call a painful joy, and that is what fossil fuels are doing to us. We've just invested and entered the disco club. We are not about to get out, and many of those people advocating for that are people who have reaped big from fossil fuels, even went into other countries, either waged war, but to tap from the benefit of fossil fuel.
But
now they have eaten, they are satisfied, and they're accusing us and saying, please don't venture into that area. But it's what has built their big economies.
And it has brought consequences, which is why they are moving away. So do you want us to also dive in there, get to the consequences, and then go away?
There are mitigating factors. We have vast land. Let's go into carbon trade so that what is emissions, we can have a way of that. But of course, we just want to remind you that at exactly 8, we'll be taking us through, we'll be joining and following up what is happening in Kororo ceremonial grounds, where we expect the body of the foreign speaker arriving there. But of course, I also first give you a feel of what is happening at Parliament before taking you then to Kororo ceremonial grounds, where it's going to be a bit of activities there. Well, we shall now look at also another aspect of life, of what is happening around us, and we are going to be having people from the Bamasaba North American Cultural Association, which brings together people from that is UNA. It brings